Hey everyone, well, I'm about to fire my L&L Plug-N-Fire kiln for the first time. This is that kiln from L&L that you can plug directly into, you got it, a wall outlet. It doesn't need a vent, you just plug and fire. And I have not fired it yet, and I really don't fire kilns without vents, so I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. So once you get your kiln set up and plugged in, you're going to want to get your kiln shelves ready. Now, I have the kiln shelf that came with it was this little square, and then it also came with these 3 posts. But these 3 posts, well, let's talk a bit about that before we get into it. My understanding is they want me to, by seeing those 3 posts, they want me to set pots directly on the bottom of my kiln, which I never do. So I have down here, we'll go for a little walk. I have some kiln posts that I just got and dipped in some kiln wash. Here they are. Let's grab these 3. They're a little sticky, but that's okay. I'm gonna take these back. This is a point of view video class, by the way, which is something I'm playing with. You have to let me know what you think about it. So instead of the static, we have this point of view. So they're wet because I just dipped them in kiln wash, and I do that so they don't stick. And ideally you want this to dry before you put it in the kiln. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place these 3 in the bottom of the kiln, space them out. I'm gonna do 3 of them because 3 is more stable than 4. 4 would be too wiggly. So we'll put those in there, and they're down in there. Well, maybe even this one up a little bit over here. Okay, so why don't we just put pots on the bottom of our kiln? Couple reasons. One, if your glaze ever runs, now you have glaze stuck to the bottom of your whole kiln, and you will have to either chisel out that brick at the bottom or replace it, and that gets very expensive. You do not want to do that. 2, you do not have good airflow. If you put your kiln shelf directly on the bottom, which you can do, you won't have airflow. And by putting your pot directly on the shelf, then you're running into some trouble. So I do not recommend doing that at all. Now I'm gonna take my shelf and I'm just gonna set it in right here and put that down in. That's pretty good. So the shelf, we've got a little bit of space all the way around. That's all right, we want that because we want air to flow. You want air to flow underneath the shelf and up around the sides, which it will. So for the first time firing, manufacturer suggests you do your first firing to whatever glaze cone you want to fire to with a cone, whether it's self-supporting cone or a cone pack in the kiln. So there's the cone pack. And I could just fire it like that. I could, absolutely. That's great. It is impossible for me to fire a kiln without at least 1 pot in there. So I have 1 pot. It's a mug I glazed with a lot of glazes, and we'll see how it turns out. It could be great. It could end up being terrible. I don't know, but I wiped the bottom. It's good to go. So let's put that down in there. So that looks good. Now let's turn the kiln on. So we're just gonna flick this switch and the display will come on here. Hello, display. I haven't even set this up. I haven't even paired it with my phone, with the app yet, so I'll need to do that. So custom user 1, blank 1. So there's nothing on there. It's just brand new, nothing going. So we're gonna go ahead and load. I wanna load a glaze. Okay, so they have a ceramic glaze cone 06 medium programmed in for the first one. So that would be great if you're gonna do low fire, but I am gonna do cone 5. So we are just gonna say, okay for now, okay. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go to edit. And then we're gonna edit things. Preheat time. Well, I like to have a good hour, 1:00 preheat on my glaze fires. 1, well, the pot's kind of wet, it's got glaze on it. 2, the kiln shelf's kind of wet. So doing the 1 hour, I might even do it a little longer. And then cone 06, no, that's not gonna work. We are gonna go to cone, I know it looks like it's going down. We're gonna go to 5. You could go to 6, I'm going to 5. Nope, come back. There we go, stop, 2167. So yes, we want that, so save. There we go. And then hold at peak. Well, normally, yeah, normally I like to do a hold. I like to do a 10 to 15 minute hold, but this kiln's never been fired. So what do? Do we fire it with no hold and see what happens? What a hold does for us is it allows the glaze to be held at the top temperature of the firing, which lets any organic material to continue burning out of the pot that might still be in there. Any air or gases trapped through the glaze will bubble up and out. Helps prevent pinholing. So do I want to do a hold on a test fire? No, because we need a true firing, but I like to do holds. So what do? We're going to let it be. I know. And this is why that piece is in there, and I'm like, yeah, we're just going to let it be. I am going to change my preheat to 1.5 hours though, because that kiln shelf's pretty wet. And there's no venting. So let's see, hold at peak, nope, we're just gonna go, although I really wanna should I do a 5-minute hold? What do you guys think? It's hard. All right, let's just leave it. We'll do, no we won't. I have to do at least 5 minutes. So we'll just do 5. That's a 5-minute hold right there. I couldn't help myself. We're gonna find out. All right, done. Are you ready? It's not hooked up to the internet, which means I cannot monitor this with the app. So that's just the problem right now. That's all. It's not a big deal. I just have to watch it. If I want to hook it up to the app, I just go into the app and do that. Ready? Start. Start now? Yes, please. Here we go. Oh, relay clicking. All right. There we go. Well, good luck, little pot. Let's make sure everything looks good. It does, it does. Gonna shut the top and we're gonna say goodbye and we'll come back, well, I don't know when. Wednesday maybe? Oh, I don't know. We'll find out together. So here we are in the first firing. We're about 4 hours in. And I just wanted to share something, and this is what I used to do before I had kiln vents years ago. You know, when you're firing at the beginning, whether it's a bisque or it's a glaze, there's a lot of moisture that needs to come out. If it's in the bisque, you've got moisture still in the clay. You have physical water, but you also have chemical water. Now, when we're firing for our glaze, the glaze will have put water into our pots, so there's moisture in there, and that needs to come out. There's also still some organic compounds in the pots, even in the glaze firing, that have to burn out. So what you're seeing here is the new Plug-N-Fire L&L kiln, and it doesn't have a vent. I'll just show you the bottom. There is no vent. L&L does not recommend putting a vent on this kiln because it is so small. But if we leave it shut up while it's firing, all of those things that are in there, they really should vent out. So the best thing that you can do is what I've done here, is I crack the lid. You can see right there. I've cracked the lid and I have a kiln post in there holding it open about 1.5 inches. The kiln is at 500 degrees. I will often leave it like this till it's 1,000 and then I will shut the kiln. So this is what I do. This kiln does not have any of the peepholes like we have over here. So normally if I didn't have a kiln vent, I would just remove one of these, but the Plug-N-Fire does not have these. So other option is to prop the lid, and it's fine. Do you have to do this? You don't have to do anything, but this is really much better. Now, one thing I'm gonna say is while this is happening, the smell coming from the kiln is not pleasant, the fumes and the off-gassing. It's not nice. I would not be in the kiln, in the studio breathing this, so I'm actually gonna leave the studio. I mean, I have been working all day and it is 6:45 at night, so I think I can end my day. It has been I started at 9, so what, 10-hour day? That's a pretty good day. So we're 4.5 hours in, we'll see. It's a medium speed, so that's usually about 6 to 8 hours. So I'll come back at, it's almost 7. I'll come back at about 9, but I did hook this up to my Wi-Fi and on the app so I can watch it there. So I just wanted to give that little bit of information to share with those of you firing this kiln for the first time. Personally, I think you should prop the lid and vent it this way. This is more natural venting, instead of just shutting it and letting everything work its way out through the cracks here. And it would, and you'd see a lot of corrosion happening. And doing it this way, we might end up with more corrosion than, say, these kilns that have the vents, because the vents pull everything out. So my kilns still look brand new, even though they are 5 years old, 3 years old. This one is only been used for about a year. So, but they look brand new. And that's because I run vents, and the vents really help maintain the cosmetic look and also wear and tear on your kiln. So I firmly believe in venting, but this little kiln, no vent. So this is what we're doing with it. So here we are. The kiln is at 1073, and I am going to take the little kiln post I have in there out. I actually switched to, I don't know if I did that before I recorded. I switched from that big one there to this smaller one. Now, normally what we'll do is I will hold the knob with one hand, I remove that, and then shut the lid. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put the camera down to do it because I need 2 hands to do the removal. So I'll do that and then I'll come back. All right, I propped the phone up so that I can prop the camera up. Look, here we go. Lift, remove, put this somewhere on top, or I can put it right here on the kiln next to it because it won't mind being on something hot. And then we just let it finish. I don't have a vent, so I don't have to turn anything off or come back over. I do have the app for the L&L kilns on my phone, so I can watch it and keep an eye on everything from my house. I don't actually have to be over here working past, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock, so I can actually be done for the day. All right, so we'll let this be, and I will let you know what happens. I'll update you when it's done. The test fire of the Plug-N-Fire L&L kiln is done. So let's come down here and take a look at the control box. Now, I do plan to put this control box on, I'm just gonna get some more brick like this, and I'll make a little stand next to it, probably in the back, and it will sit back there. But let's take a look at everything. So it's complete, it's now at 69. Let's see what we had. We had a 10-hour firing. Now I did a medium speed fire. I did a 1.5 hour preheat. So now you have to take that into account. Let's clear that out. Let's take a look at the menu. Let's go to diagnostics, no, data menu. Last firing status, that's what we want. Firing number 1. 1 fire. There we go. Just the 1. And it was a glaze. It was, well, right now the board is 94 degrees and the kiln got to 2173. So we can see that after the kiln's done. Let's just scroll down and see if we got anything else. So nothing at all, you know, standing out to me. And then the date, everything. So it looks good. You can, let me get that glare off there for you. I wanted to see if it had cost. Right, so you can actually program in your electric rates, and there we go. I don't know why the camera keeps trying to flip out of that mode and go less in focus. But anyhow, you can program that in, and if you have it, you can see how much it costs to fire your kiln every time. Every time! Isn't that amazing? So everything's good there. I didn't program that in. I don't actually know my, I don't know my rates. Maybe I should figure that out. But we could also see what this firing was if you forgot 1.5 hour. So really, if I didn't do the preheat, it took 10 hours, it would have been 8.5 with a 5-minute hold. All right, let's peek inside. And then we'll just have a quick peek and then we'll unpack we'll really talk about it. I mean, we could really talk about it right now. There's not a lot happening. All right, so when you do your first fire, you are not supposed to have pots in the kiln, just letting you know, but I can't help myself. So I do put a test piece in. I want to see what's going to happen. Now, I only had to do a glaze fire to cone 06. That's what L&L recommended, but you can go hotter. I figure why not do the glaze fire to cone 5 since that's what I fire to. And let's check the pot out that's in there. That turned out beautiful. I'm really happy with this. Was a little extruded cup. It's not really big. And I put a little splash guard on the front. So when you're drinking out of it, if you have it in the car or something, it doesn't splash on you. So that glaze on that turned out really nice. And I'll just tell you, this is my deep green sea and then Amaco Deep Sea. So my teal and then Amaco's dark blue, Chun Plum, and then here is Seaweed from Amaco. And it looks better in real life than it does on camera, the Seaweed. I think, honestly, given the choice between Seaweed and Lustrous Jade as a over color to blend things in, I like Lustrous Jade better. So let's get back to the firing. So there's our cone pack, so we could see what's happening, and that measures the heat work of the kiln, and that's something you really want to do when you are firing your kiln, especially for the first time. So this is cone 4, completely melted. Cone 5 down, that's great. Cone 6 bent. So we had a lot of heat work, even though the control board said the kiln was 2173, which is just barely over cone 5. It got a bit hotter. So going by this cone pack, which measures heat work, which is what makes glazes melt, we got to, I would say, hot 5, almost 6, cone 6. So that's why we do this. So we see, because if I compare it to some other cone 5 firings, you will notice, and if you go back and watch kiln openings, the cone 6 might not move at all. So this was a hotter firing, and that can affect how your glazes look. Looking down inside the kiln, we've got a little bit of flaking from the thermocouple. That happens especially the first time, and you see those little black flecks. It's easy to clean up. I will just unplug the kiln from the wall and vacuum the kiln out, and then it's good to go. Now remember, we didn't fire a vent with this. I don't see any problems with my glaze, no problems with the kiln. You don't need it. So overall, really happy. Great little kiln, great for testing glazes, great for doing small loads, fast firing. I'm gonna be using this over the coming months, and I will put it to cone 10 because I've got a bunch of cone 10 clay. So I'll really be putting it through its paces. So you'll have to just stay tuned and see what happens over time with this little guy. But the Plug-N-Fire, I think it's a great kiln. I think if you're looking for a kiln and you don't have one yet, and you're thinking this would be the kiln for you, I would say no. I would get a bigger kiln if you're gonna buy just one kiln for your studio. This is too small for most potters' average uses. This is a great test kiln, great for people that only do small things. You know, it's really a kiln for a specific use. Also, another consideration is, yeah, it does plug into a 120 outlet at 20 amp service. So if you have a kiln and if you have limitations and you want to have a kiln, this might be the only kiln you could have. So that's something else to think about. So the takeaway for this is, what are you going to be using your kiln for? What do you have for a electrical budget? What can you do with your kiln? Like, you don't have this plug-in. Like, I have 1, 2, and then the other one plugged in. And I know it looks like a regular outlet, but it's not. It just doesn't have its faceplate on it. So, you know, it's really dependent on what you can do where you are, because sometimes you can't change the electric and you are limited. So I think this is a great kiln for people who maybe travel. They want a small kiln in their home, but if you are planning to set up a pottery studio, this would be great for a test kiln, but you might want to consider getting something bigger. Maybe not as big as what I have here and here. These are 7 cubic feet and they're big kilns. But there's some great kilns out there, and L&L makes, I believe, the best. So you can always check those out. So anyhow, that's my first fire with the L&L Plug-N-Fire kiln. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of people have asked me about this kiln, and I really wanted to get it fired and get something through it to share with everybody. I think it's great. I think it's fabulous that L&L has something that you can just plug and fire like this does. And it's really a great kiln for someone using that only has 120 outlet space, or maybe you travel, maybe you have 2 homes and you travel between them. This could be a great kiln because it's easy enough to pack up and move places. So yeah, do I like it? Absolutely. I love it. I think it's great. And I'm going to be playing with how fast I can fire this and how hot I can go and all that. So stay tuned for all of that in the future. But yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to L&L. Their website is hotkilns.com. And they'd be happy to answer any questions you have about their kilns. And you can always reach out to me. I'm not a kiln expert, but I know a bit about kilns, and I'd be happy to help y'all.